follow Walter Sports Bar on the Untapped app to get updates on the new beers brought in. Walter's 24 self-pour beer wall awaits you.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Ruiz at third, Garcia at first. Outside target this time. The 0-2. In the dirt, gets by the catcher. Ruiz is coming in. He will score without a play. Bouncing a changeup, a wild pitch, and the Nationals a 3-0 lead here in the first inning. 3-0 offering to Crews. Swinging a fly ball left field. This one is deep. Way back it goes. Verdugo to the wall, looking up, and it is gone. Nationals back in front, 4-3. Dylan Crews on a 3-0 pitch. It's a soaring drive right down the left field line for his 7th home run of the season. And Crews has homered in back-to-back games. He turned it loose on 3-0 and hit it a ton. Nationals trying to match their longest winning streak of the season. Finnegan ready. The 0-2 to Albies. Swinging, it's poked on the ground to third. It's fielded by Tana. He sets and he throws in time, and the ball game is over. Nationals win it 5-3. Win number 4 in a row. Save number 15 for Kyle Finnegan, tying him for the Major League lead.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. We on Monday mourn the death of actor George Wendt, who died at the age of 76. He, of course, is best known for playing the all-time great character Norm Peterson on the all-time great television show Cheers. Amazingly, Monday was the 32nd anniversary of the final episode of Cheers. He died 32 years to the day of the final episode of Cheers. Amazing. And perhaps even more amazing is that the Nats bullpen maybe finally is coming around. Tuesday evening, 4 Nats relievers combined for 3 2/3 scoreless innings. This in a 5-3 win over the Atlanta Braves at Nationals Park in Game 1 of a 3-game series. The Nats now have won 4 consecutive games, and since a 7-game losing streak, now have won 5 of the team's last 6 games. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 22-27, and outfielder Robert Hassell III, per reports, including one from our own Mark Zuckerman, is being promoted to the majors. Very exciting news late night on Tuesday night. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you would like to sponsor the program, hit up the man who runs the show, Tim Shovers, again, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. Coming up later in the show, a report on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Wetzel, who will have intel for us on third baseman Brady House, the aforementioned Robert Hassell III, and starting pitcher Cade Cavalli. But more early offense for the Nats on Tuesday evening. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first. The Nats did give up 3 runs in the top of the second, but marked the offense off a very good series in the 3-game sweep at the Orioles over the weekend. Solid again in this win over the Braves.
It's been quite the turn of the tide in the Nationals' favor here lately, Al. And just to go back to George Wendt, one of my favorite shows growing up, Cheers, one of my favorite characters. And I think one of the best all-time sitcom lines, when he walks into the bar, everybody yells out Norm. Woody asks him, how's the world treating you, Mr. Peterson? And he replies, it's a dog-eat-dog world, Woody, and I'm wearing milk-bone underpants. I'll tell you what, I'm sure there are some people affiliated with the Nationals who have felt that way over the last several years as they go through this rebuild. Maybe finally here over the last few days, as things are starting to turn better, they're no longer the ones being eaten by the dogs, and they are having some things go their way finally. And these last 4 games, it's been nice to see not just how they've won, but the fact that they've done it by scoring early, by getting decent starting pitching, and by getting, yes, great bullpen work to close out these games. There's a new formula in town to win ball games the Nats have discovered here the last 4 days.
It is a nice thing to see for sure. And as for the breaking news late night on Tuesday night, so there was some unfortunate news from this game on Tuesday evening. Dylan Crews, he homered for a second consecutive game, but he left the game due to what for now is being called a back injury. Crews, as the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, went 1 for 1 with a solo homer and a walk, but left the game after 5 innings. Crews in a Nats 1-run second, a 2-out solo homer to left field for a 4-3 Nats lead. The homer going a projected 404 feet per Statcast. Nats manager Davey Martinez during his postgame press conference on Tuesday night expressing concern about Crews, who was to undergo an MRI exam.
I'm a little concerned. I mean, he's going to get an MRI, so we'll see how the MRI goes.
And the Nats for this game already were without another outfielder, and Jacob Young. He did not play for a second consecutive game. He was a late scratch from the Nats lineup as he continues to recover from a left shoulder injury that he suffered in crashing into the right center field wall during the Nats' 10-6 win at the Orioles this past Saturday. And so we late night on Tuesday night got the news from Mark Zuckerman and others that the Nats are calling up outfielder Robert Hassell III from AAA-Rochester. What can you tell us?
Well, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty here, and I don't think they have exactly how this is all going to play out. But let's consider the various factors. First, that Jacob Young, who they thought was going to be fine, wasn't able to go. He's still having trouble on his swing, finishing off the swing, the pull off with the right arm at the end of his swing. He's still feeling the shoulder, and so they decided not to take any chances and didn't play him. So all of a sudden, that's a question mark with him. Then during the game, you have Dylan Crews, who also told us that he's been dealing with this bad back for about a week.
It's a little lower back, side oblique tenderness.
Ever since he made a diving catch in Atlanta a week ago, and he's been playing through it and pretty amazingly hitting the ball really well, homering in 2 straight games. He takes a check swing in the 5th inning of this one, and you could see him just wince a little bit, grab his lower back / left side. They decided it's not worth it. Let's come out of the game, which he agreed with, going for the MRI on Wednesday, and they will see. But he kind of acknowledged, David Martinez sort of acknowledged that this is a tricky situation and one that they probably would imagine that they err on the side of caution. Now, they're going to wait and see what that MRI says before they make any decision. But given that, and given Jacob Young's situation and the fact that they were playing Nasim Nunez in center field for the final half of this game, as well as Nunez has done out there, you got to be protected. You got to make sure you have somebody else. So they placed the call, from what I'm told, to Robert Hassell III. He'll be coming to D.C. I imagine they'll be activating him, that, one of those 2 guys ends up on the IL. My guess is more likely that it's Crews than Young. That doesn't necessarily mean that he'll play right away, especially if Young is okay. There's also a bad forecast on Wednesday, so we'll see how that all goes. But you reach a point where now 2 of your 4 regular outfielders are dealing with stuff, maybe one of them needing to go on the IL. So you call up your top prospect, have him here ready to go if needed. And, I think we'll be seeing him on Wednesday.
So Robert Hassell III, of course, one of the 5 prospects who the Nats got in the trade of outfielder Juan Soto and first baseman Josh Bell to the San Diego Padres on August 2nd, 2022, what was 2022 MLB trade deadline day. Hassell is the Nats' number 11 prospect per MLB pipeline. It's funny, we talked about him and third baseman Brady House the other day. House's numbers are more overwhelming, but of course, it's not always who's doing the best that determines who gets called up first. It's circumstances, and circumstances are such now that Hassell is coming up. Now, do you think that this is Hassell being called up, and if he does well, he stays, or do you think this is more he's being called up for a temporary stay at the majors, but more likely than not will be sent back down to AAA?
I think it all depends on, number one, how well he does and how much he gets a chance to play and show what he can do. And then number 2, how long could Crews potentially be out? And how does Jacob Young do? If there's no injuries involved with any of this, then that's a move that you're making if you get to a point that you believe either Young or Crews is not your best option there and that one of them needs to go down and you're calling up Hassell to replace one of them. And there was an argument for either one of those here recently. Now, Crews has started to hit better. And Young obviously brings a lot to the table as well. So I think it depends. If he comes up here and looks great and ready for it, and if you've got concerns about Young's viability, or if Crews is going to miss any significant amount of time, then he probably sticks. But I don't think it's just a guarantee. It's not going to be one of those, hey, he's up here and he's definitely here to stay. If he doesn't play well, or if they even choose not to play him a whole lot, which I wouldn't be shocked based on what everyone else's availability is. Then maybe, you do send him back if he doesn't light the world on fire and if Crews comes back in, 10 to 15 days or something like that. I think there's a lot of unknowns there. Hopefully, if he is called up for sure, we do get a chance to see him. They give him an opportunity. Let's find out what he's got. But it's not necessarily them declaring, hey, he's ready. He's our guy now as we move forward. I think there are a lot of other factors involved in all that.
Robert Hassell III slash line for AAA-Rochester this season as of us taping this installment of the podcast. Batting average 288, on base percentage 337, slugging percentage 405. He is the least well-regarded of the 5 prospects who the Nats got in the Juan Soto, Josh Bell trade. It is worth pointing that out. So it's not like, when they called up James Wood, it was this big deal. Eventually, presumably, when they call up Harleen Susana, that'll be a big deal. This is a little different than that. So, we'll see what happens here. By the way, does he like to go by RH3? Do we know that? We had RG3 here years ago. Can we call him RH3, or do the Nats want us to avoid doing that?
Yeah, I don't think he prefers that one. His nickname, and I don't know if this is from him or just others decide to give it to him, is Bobby Barrels, because he's been known to hit the ball, square it up well. But as far as how he was doing this year, got off to a slow start. He had a great spring. And remember, there was a lot of talk like, hey, could he be ready? And they said, no, hang on. He's had injuries. He's still got to prove he can hit at AAA. So he gets off to a slow start, a little bit of a concern. But over the last 3 to 4 weeks, I think, performing a lot better. Doesn't hit for a ton of power, more contact, more gap-to-gap kind of stuff. Plays a pretty good outfield. My guess is that we will see him in right field with either Young or Crews in center, even though he has played center field like pretty much all their top prospects seem to be doing. But it's going to be interesting to see it. You're right that at this stage, he's probably the least regarded of the 5 prospects. But I feel like at the time of the trade, he was, if not number 1, maybe number 2 on that list, maybe behind C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore. They'd both been in the big leagues a little bit and highly regarded, but Hassell was kind of seen as ahead of Wood only because of more experience, being a little bit older, a little more minor league experience at that point. And he was really hitting well in the low minor leagues at that point. Now he's dealt with injuries, hasn't hit quite as well, and so he's kind of fallen back a bit. And, we kind of jokingly referred to him as the forgotten prospect from that trade. And anytime you say anything like that, Mike Rizzo jumps right in and says, hang on a second, this guy's really good too. There's a reason he was such a big part of that deal. We may find out now for sure just how big a part of that deal he is.
Going to be really interesting to see how he does, and this does put pressure on Jacob Young. Jacob Young is not having a good season. If he continues to struggle and Hassell does well, you wonder what that might end up meaning for Jacob Young.
2-2 offering. Hassell swings and hits a liner to center field, sinking fast. Acevedo comes on and he dives and misses it, and it gets past him. Hassell on his way to second, not stopping there. Here he comes to third. He's there standing up.
Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. May is officially here, and so are the rising temperatures. Before you know it, you'll be wondering what else you can do to keep cool during the dog days of summer. Beat the heat and keep the AC in your home with Window Nation's energy-efficient vinyl windows. During Window Nation's semi-annual sale, buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows. Plus, no money down, no interest, and no monthly payments until 2027. That's a whole lot of savings and a super smart investment, especially when prices are rising. So how exactly does Window Nation keep prices affordable? Well, Window Nation works directly with the top window manufacturers in the country, which means all of Window Nation's windows are assembled right here in the USA. Plus, Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty, so you'll keep saving long into the future. Window Nation's semi-annual sale ends on May 31st. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows, plus pay nothing until 2027. Schedule your estimate right now at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Here's the pitch. Swing a line drive right side. That's going to be a base hit over Albies. One hopper to White, the right fielder. Lowe comes in to score. Ruiz stops at third. Garcia delivers on a 1-2 pitch, an RBI single to right. Nationals have 4 hits in a row and lead the Braves 2-0. Quick start out of the gate again for the Nationals in the early innings.
So the Nats offensively in this win over the Braves on Tuesday evening, 5 runs, 8 hits, and 4 walks, went 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits, a homer, a double, and 6 singles. The Nats again got to an opposing starting pitcher. Braves starting pitcher Spencer Strider allowed 4 runs in 4 and a third innings in his return from being on the 15-day injured list due to a right hamstring strain. James Wood, he in this game coming through for the Nats. He has the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, 2 for 3 with 2 singles and a walk, though he did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base, as the Nats in this game did make 3 bad outs on the base pass. Luis Garcia Jr., he is the Nats starting second baseman and number 5 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI single. He, in a Nats 3-run first, had a 1-out RBI single to right on a 1-2 pitch for a 2-0 Nats lead, but he got tagged out by Spencer Strider in a rundown between second and third base for the 3rd out, and what officially went down as Garcia being out in an attempted steal of third base. And C.J. Abrams, he is the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, 1 for 3 with a single and a hit by pitch, but he made a bad out on the base pass. Abrams, bottom of the second, drew a 2-out hit by pitch, but he got tagged out in a rundown between third base and home plate off a throwing error by Spencer Strider on an errant pickoff throw. Abrams appeared to think that a throw to third base was not caught when, in fact, the throw was caught. Overall, the offense was good in this game, but man, those outs on the base pass were not pleasant to watch.
2 official toot lands there in the first 2 innings of the game. No excuse for either of those. They're both happened with 2 outs. Garcia, I don't know what he's thinking. He starts taking off for third before Strider's even begun his delivery. Even if you got a great jump, what's the point of trying to steal third with 2 outs at that point? I don't know. That one was pretty inexplicable. The Abrams one, look, he's trying to be aggressive, and you could tell from the moment the pickoff throw went away, he has his mind on third base all along. And then he sees the high throw, and he just assumes the ball gets away. Ricky Gutierrez, the third base coach, was telling him, stay here, and he just wasn't paying any attention, and he takes off. The next thing you know, he's in a rundown. I mean, thankfully that didn't cost them, but those were 2 egregious outs on the bases. And while they've made some on the bases this year, I don't feel like we've had those kind of like true toot lands. Those were nincompoop moments from both those guys. But let's talk about the better stuff, because there was a lot of good stuff offensively from them. Against a good pitcher in Spencer Strider, you had good contact, you had good counts working. And what I really was fascinated by, James Wood, his single in the first inning, and then Dylan Cruz's homer in the second, they both come on 3-0 pitches. They got the green light, and they both did what you're supposed to do when you get the green light. That doesn't just mean swing at anything. It means if you get a fastball and it's exactly in that spot on the plate that you know you can hit it well, then you take a swing at it. They both delivered in big spots. So good on Davey for trusting those guys to give them the green light, but even more so, good on Wood and Cruz for recognizing that you don't get overly aggressive when that happens. You find the right spot, one specific pitch, and you get it, you swing, and they both did some damage on it.
And off that stretch, during which the Nats were making every opposing starting pitcher look like Greg Maddux circa 95, lately a different story. We saw the Nats get to Zach Eflin on Sunday afternoon, and Eflin overall has been pretty good for the Orioles. And we saw the Nats get to Spencer Strider on Tuesday evening. Now, Strider coming off the 15-day IL, so probably not at his best, but whatever. He's still Spencer Strider. He's a good pitcher, and the Nats did a very nice job against him. The Nats starting pitcher in this 5-3 win over the Braves on Tuesday evening was Mitchell Parker. I would say he was not good for a 5th consecutive start. He was not as bad as he has been in some of his other recent poor starts, but 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings ends up being the final line. He really was only bad in 1 inning, though. He gave up 6 hits, which were a home run, 3 doubles, and 2 singles. He had 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He threw a lot of strikes, 81 pitches, 53 strikes, 28 balls. His outing got marred by him giving up 3 runs in the top of the second, during which he allowed 3 runs on a leadoff homer and 3 consecutive 1-out doubles. But I'll give him credit, and we have said this many times with Nats starting pitchers this season, a bad early inning, but he's able to eat up innings. And Parker did that in this game, ultimately going 5 1/3 and giving up the 3 runs.
Yeah, look, this is baby steps for him right now from the low point of a few starts ago when he couldn't find the plate. especially in those early innings, to now, yeah, he gave up the 3 runs, but at least they were on hits and not on walks. He only walked 1 in this game, and he recovered from that second inning to retire 9 of his last 10 batters faced. So he felt like it was encouraging. He knows he's not there yet. He's still got work to do. But the process that led him to give up the 3 runs in the 5 1/3 was better than the process of some of the previous starts, by keeping the ball in the zone, by shaking off the trouble, by finishing strong. Got to face the top of their lineup a 3rd time and had success against them all. So he's getting back to where he needs to be. Not all the way there yet, but I think he felt, and I think they felt, pretty encouraged by that. Your teammates give you a 3-0 lead and you give it right back moments later. It's a bad look. But to his credit, he buckled down, he got it back on track, and he left the game with them in the lead and ends up getting the win.
And the Nats bullpen in this 5-3 win over the Braves on Tuesday evening. Good. Again, there is a trend that is developing with this bullpen, and it is an encouraging trend. 4 Nats relievers combined for 3 2/3 scoreless innings. Cole Henry faced 3 batters and got 3 outs. Jose A. Ferrer faced 3 batters and got 2 outs. Jorge Lopez in the top of the 8th faced 2 batters and got 3 outs. He came into the game with a runner on first, no outs, and the Nats holding a 5-3 lead, and he induced a 5-4-3 double play off the bat of the Braves' number 2 batter, Austin Riley, and then induced a ground out off the bat of the Braves' number 3 batter, Marcell Ozuna. And Kyle Finnegan tossed a perfect top of the 9th for the save. No base runners allowed by Kyle Finnegan, who, by the way, for this regular season is tied for number 1 in the majors in saves with 15. Look, we don't like to preach the value of the save too much on this podcast, but a save is a save, and Finnegan does have a major league best tying 15 saves. So the bullpen good, the bullpen recently good, and in a game in which Davey Martinez had to use 4 relievers, all 4 guys were good. There have been games this season in which the Nats bullpen has been good, but there was usually an yeah, but, and there would be somebody in the game who was used who did not do well. In this game, all 4 guys ended up coming through.
Yeah, when's the last time we talked about the bullpen as a group retiring 11 of the 12 batters they faced? 1 single, and that was it. That was good stuff all around. I like, as we've talked about, we like to see Cole Henry now being a part of this thing. He's still only been scored upon in 1 of his 15 big league appearances to date. That's fantastic. Jose A. Ferrer, this was the good version of him. Jorge Lopez has quietly righted the ship here lately. And as you said, a rare 1-2-3 inning from Kyle Finnegan. And here's your stat of the night. The Nationals bullpen, at the end of their 39th game of the season, that's basically a quarter of the season, had a 7.29 ERA, worst in the majors. Well, in 10 games since then, that number is now 3.12. Talk about a turnaround. What's been the difference? Well, I mentioned some guys who've been doing well, but I will also point out, and it's just fact, that this coincides with the release of Lucas Sims. And they'd already moved Colin Poche several days prior to that. But whether it's coincidence, whether there's something to it or not, from the moment that they released Lucas Sims, the bullpen has produced a 3.12 ERA. And by the way, did you see who just signed Lucas Sims to a minor league deal? That would be the Philadelphia Phillies, who got a firsthand look at him, so they know what they're getting. Good luck to him. Good luck to the Phillies for trying to make that work.
Will be interesting to see how he does. I do want to highlight Ferrer. Ferrer has been a lot better lately, and maybe, he's going from 50-50 Ferrer to 65-35 Ferrer, or 70-30 Ferrer, to where he's more good than bad, because lately he certainly has been more good than bad.
Life as a small business owner, everything is your problem, and there aren't enough hours in the day. That's where LinkedIn Jobs, and by proxy Nats Chat, are here to help. For those crucial hires that you absolutely can't whiff on, turn to LinkedIn Jobs. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn will take it from there, making sure it gets in front of the properly qualified candidates who are searching themselves. Find out why more than 2.5 million small business owners have turned to LinkedIn Jobs to grow their staff. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your jobs for free. linkedin.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
get ready. Here's the pitch. Swing at a line drive center field. Coming on is Nunez into a slide. He makes the catch for the out. Nasim Nunez makes the play coming in into a feet-first slide to his left, and then in the mid-slide, almost slid too far. He had to reach back to make the catch and lost his cap as well.
So a good win for the Nats on Tuesday evening. Next up for them is Game 2 of this series against the Braves Wednesday evening at 6:45. Trevor Williams will be the Nats starting pitcher, though there is a good bit of rain in the forecast for Wednesday in the Washington, D.C. area. So we'll see if, in fact, this game ends up being impacted by that. But, man, Trevor Williams easily has been the Nats' worst starting pitcher so far this season. And, you know, it's hard to say to what degree his spot in the rotation is in jeopardy. We've been lobbying for the case of Brad Lord, but you got to think at some point the dam is going to burst. And I don't know how many more bad outings Trevor Williams can afford to have here.
Yeah, he needs to get back on track. He needs to be something closer to the version that we saw of him last year, even if it's just 5 innings. Give up 2-3 runs, give them a chance. Doesn't have to be dominant, but give them a chance. And the combination of what Lord was doing, and as we've discussed, the progression, if you want to call it that, of Cade Cavalli off the IL, pitching every week now at Rochester, pitching pretty well. One of these days, they're going to decide it's time to make that move, and somebody's got to be dropped from the rotation. Mitchell Parker, if he continues on an upward trend, it's going to be hard to replace him. And so you do fall on Trevor Williams at that point. And, you know, they gave him the 2-year contract. They're paying him by this team's standards good money. But at some point, you do have to say who gives them the best chance, who are their 5 best starters. And they may be trending in a direction where he's not one of those 5. So I think it's a big start for him, whether they're able to play Wednesday or if he has to wait till Thursday to pitch.
And speaking of the Nats spending money, so they're with the Nats these days is what is happening on the field, and there is what is happening off the field. The Washington Post on Tuesday evening reported that 2 key business operations people for the Nats, Chief Revenue Officer Mike Carney and Chief Marketing Officer Kim Bolt, left the organization earlier this month. Per a post from Nats insider Andrew Golden of the Washington Post on X, quote, a national spokesperson declined to comment. It's unclear if/when the Nats intend to fill these roles, end quote. Now, this is one of these deals where you look at this and you say, okay, we don't know how big of a deal this is, but I do think it's worth noting. We have been wondering for a long time now how committed the Lerner family is owning to the Nats. There has been a lot of discussion and speculation for years now on the financial situation of the Nats. You get the chief revenue officer and the chief marketing officer leaving the team in season like this. Now, why exactly these departures happened, we don't know. What exactly these departures mean, we don't know. But, you know, it's one thing when one prominent person leaves. When 2 prominent people leave, then you have to ask the question more so than not of like, okay, is there something going on here? Again, we don't know, but I did think it was worth bringing up because I think to just ignore this, you know, you're maybe whistling past the graveyard here of what could be something significant happening behind the scenes regarding ownership and regarding the financial state of the team.
I don't really have much to add here. I don't know a lot about this except to say that, you know, it's never good if top people in your organization are leaving, whether by their choice or the team's choice, and certainly unusual for that to happen, not just in season, but early in the season. And when there's 2 of them together around the same time, it's not a great look. And without knowing specifics, whether they're connected or not, or what the reason was behind it, you know, it's not a great look. And they have, to be honest, in their front office and a lot of these high up positions, they've gone through a decent number of people in these various like VP positions over the years. There has not been a ton of continuity at that level of the organization, especially on the business side of things. And again, that may be just be the turnover of the industry. It may be people, you know, finding better opportunities elsewhere, or it might be that the people in charge aren't totally satisfied with the job that's been done. So we'll see where this all goes from here, but certainly curious news, especially given the timing of it and the fact that it's 2 people happening, you know, roughly around the same time.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast. And we leave you now with this very timely report on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Wetzel, who's going to give us intel on Brady House, Robert Hassell III, and Cade Cavalli.
Pinckney takes the lead. There he goes. The pitch is clocked towards center. Marsh is going back, slowing down as he looks up, and it's gone again for Hassell. His second home run of the game. He's 7 for his last 7, and it is 6-1 Red Wings.
The Red Wings are coming off a week that saw them lose 4 of 6 games to a very good Durham Bulls team, although the Wings easily could have split the series. Saturday night, the Red Wings were 1 strike away from the win and let that get away. As far as some standout performances are concerned, third baseman Brady House certainly had the best week of anyone, going 7 for 25 with 3 home runs. That included 2 home runs in the game Saturday. He's now hitting .282 in the season with a team-leading 8 home runs and an .841 OPS. Center fielder Robert Hassell was 6 for 25 in the series with a pair of home runs. Robert's now hitting .277 with 4 home runs on the season and a .711 OPS. And Dalen Lyle, one of the other outfielders, former second-round pick of the Nationals, had his 12-game hit streak end on Saturday. He's hit .369 with a home run, 4 doubles, and 2 triples in his first 16 games in AAA. Another newsworthy item from the week, veteran catcher Andrew Kisner, who had been playing very well for the Red Wings, opted out of his deal with the Nationals on May 15th, becoming a free agent. Now Brady Lindsley will be the primary backup catcher to Drew Millis. And on the pitching front, Cade Cavalli on Friday had a solid start against Durham, going 4 innings. He allowed 1 run on 6 hits. All of the hits were singles, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts for Cavalli in the game. He really had a good curveball and changeup going. He threw 74 pitches in that start. 50 of them were strikes. And Seth Schumann earned his first AAA win on Sunday, working 6 innings against Durham, allowing only 3 runs. That was his second straight outing in which he pitched a full 6 innings through his first 5 starts in AAA. Schumann is 1-1 with a 2.70 earned run average. This is Josh Wetzel with this Rochester Red Wings update.
Both kicks and sends in the next offering, and it's lifted high and deep to right field. John Rhodes running back. He looks up, and this one is gone. Second pitch, both throws, is deposited past the right field wall for a leadoff home run by Robert Hassell III, his 4th home run of the season, and the Senators take a 1-0 advantage.
What's happening, Norm? It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.